In life, we often hear about success and the outstanding individuals who have achieved remarkable accomplishments. They are celebrated, praised, and held up as ideal models for others to follow. However, behind the spotlight lies a part of the story that is rarely mentioned: failure. Failure is an inevitable part of the journey to success, an indispensable companion. It serves as a stepping stone, a foundation, and sometimes the greatest teacher that shows us how to achieve success. We tend to fear and shy away from failure. From a young age, we are taught that failure is something to avoid, a sign of weakness or lack of ability. But in reality, the opposite is true. The most successful people in any field have gone through countless failures before reaching the pinnacle of their achievements. Success is not about avoiding failure, but about learning how to overcome it and turning it into motivation to keep moving forward. A famous story about Thomas Edison illustrates this perfectly. When inventing the electric light bulb, Edison conducted thousands of experiments, most of which ended in failure. But instead of giving up, he viewed each failure as a valuable lesson. He once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." It was this positive attitude that enabled Edison to create one of the greatest inventions in human history. To Edison, failure was not the end, but a part of the journey of discovery. Failure not only helps us recognize our mistakes, but also teaches us how to correct them. It provides us with the opportunity to reflect on ourselves, reassess our strategies, and adjust our direction. Those who are willing to face failure, who are not afraid of it, truly understand the value of success. Every time we stumble, we have the chance to learn something new, whether it's a skill, knowledge, or something about ourselves. The important thing is that we do not let failure stop us. In the world of business, Steve Jobs is a prime example of turning failure into a driving force for success. In 1985, he was fired from Apple, the company he had founded. For many, this could have been a devastating blow, a painful failure. But Jobs did not let this failure defeat him. Instead, he saw it as an opportunity to reinvent himself, which led to the creation of Pixar and eventually a triumphant return to Apple. Thanks to this failure, Jobs became one of the greatest entrepreneurs of the 21st century. Failure also helps us build patience and perseverance. Success does not come instantly. It requires time, effort, and persistence. Those who have experienced multiple failures understand that each failure is a test of their patience and determination. They know that as long as they don't give up, don't abandon their dreams, success will eventually come. Moreover, failure helps us develop empathy and compassion. When we go through difficulties, we become more understanding of those around us. We learn to appreciate the efforts of others, knowing that behind every success, there are stories of failure that few see. This not only helps us become better leaders, but also makes us better human beings. Failure is also a test of passion and determination. When faced with failure, only those who are truly passionate can continue moving forward. Passion is the flame that keeps us from giving up, helping us overcome all obstacles to reach our ultimate goals. Successful people are not those who have never failed, but those who have never given up. Failure, therefore, is not something to fear or be ashamed of. It is a natural part of life, a teacher that offers the most valuable lessons. Instead of avoiding it, we should learn to accept and face failure with calm and optimism. Each failure brings us closer to success. Each failure makes us stronger and more resilient. In the journey toward success, failure is not only inevitable, but also indispensable. It helps us grow, become wiser, and more resilient. So instead of fearing it, consider failure a valuable companion who will always be by your side, helping you navigate a path that is full of challenges, but also rich with opportunities. True success is not about never failing, but about knowing how to stand up after each fall and continue moving forward with an unwavering spirit. Chapter 2. Failure in a Narrow Mindset. In life, we often impose limitations on ourselves without even realizing it. A narrow mindset is one of the main causes of failure, and more dangerously, it can be a trap that keeps us from ever moving forward. These limitations may stem from fear, self-doubt, or simply a lack of understanding. What's concerning is that a narrow mindset not only prevents us from achieving great things, but it can also turn small failures into major setbacks because we fail to see the path to overcome them. A narrow mindset is when we see only one path, one way of doing things, and hesitate to step out of our comfort zone. People with this mindset are often afraid of change, afraid of failure, and thus, they always choose the path with the least risk. However, success rarely comes to those who only follow the safe route. It demands courage, the ability to see beyond the obvious, and the willingness to face unexpected challenges. A clear manifestation of a narrow mindset is the reluctance to try new things. We often get stuck in our routines, thinking that if we stick to what we know, at least we won't face any risks. But in reality, the safety we feel is just an illusion. In a constantly changing world, standing still is equivalent to falling behind, and when we refuse to innovate, failure becomes inevitable. We need to understand that a narrow mindset is not a fixed trait, but a habit that can be changed. To overcome it, we must first identify the barriers we have created for ourselves. Thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," "I can't do this," or "I've failed before, so I'll fail again," are all barriers created by a narrow mindset. Once we recognize them, we can begin to dismantle them. A crucial step in breaking free from a narrow mindset is expanding our perspective and embracing risk. Try asking yourself questions like, if I wasn't afraid of failure, what would I do? Is there another way to approach this problem? Or who can I learn from to overcome this challenge? These questions help us view problems from different angles, opening up new opportunities we hadn't considered before. We also need to learn to accept that failure is a part of the learning process. Instead of seeing failure as a sign of inadequacy, we should view it as feedback, a signal that something needs to change. When we can look at failure this way, we will no longer fear it. Instead, we'll actively seek out the lessons failure offers and use them to adjust our behavior, strategies, and approaches. Another important aspect is creating an environment that supports innovation and risk-taking. If we surround ourselves with people who have an open mindset, who encourage creativity, and are willing to face failure, it will be easier for us to break free from a narrow mindset. Conversely, if we only associate with those who are fearful and avoid challenges, we will be pulled back into the narrow confines we've set for ourselves. A narrow mindset is not just an obstacle to achieving success. It is also one of the main reasons we easily give up when faced with difficulties. If we don't change our perspective, we will never have the motivation to move forward when confronted with failure. Therefore, changing our mindset, broadening our horizons, and learning to accept failure as a natural part of life is crucial. Each time we overcome a barrier created by a narrow mindset, we move closer to our goals. Instead of letting failure discourage us, we should use it as an opportunity to experiment, to learn, and to grow. When we open ourselves up to change, when we dare to step out of our comfort zone and accept risks, we will see that the world is much broader than we ever imagined. And it is at this point that we truly begin our journey to conquer new heights, with an open mindset, unbound by the fears that once held us back. Failure in a narrow mindset is no longer something to fear if we know how to overcome it. It is when we stop seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance and instead become proactive, ready to face and conquer any challenge. Remember, an open mindset and courage not only help us overcome failure, but also lead us to great successes we never imagined possible. Chapter 3. Failure is not the outcome, but the process of success. There is a famous saying, "The road to success is paved with failures." This is not just an empty phrase. It genuinely reflects the nature of success and personal growth. If viewed correctly, failure is not a stopping point or a final outcome. On the contrary, it is an integral part of the journey to success, a necessary step that allows us to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and what needs to be done to achieve our goals. When we think of success, the first image that often comes to mind is one of glorious victories, conquered peaks, and moments of recognition and glory. However, what many people fail to see or choose not to see are the repeated failures that paved the way to those moments. These failures are not signs of weakness, but are crucial links in the chain of actions leading to success. One of the key factors that help us transform failure from a negative outcome into a part of the success process is the ability to reflect and learn from our mistakes. When we fail, it is an opportunity to introspect, to reevaluate our decisions, actions, and strategies. What can we learn from this failure? Was it due to a flawed strategy, a lack of preparation, or simply not being ready? These questions help us better understand the essential factors for success and what needs to change to move forward. The important thing is not to let failure discourage or cause us to give up. Those who achieve great success in life understand that failure is only temporary and a natural part of the process. They do not view each failure as a final outcome, but as an opportunity to adjust, to try again with a new approach and with even more determination. This persistence is what leads to extraordinary success, because each time they fall, they learn something new and become stronger. A prime example is the renowned author J.K. Rowling. Before the Harry Potter series became a global phenomenon, Rowling faced numerous rejections from publishers. Those rejection letters were not the end of her dream, but rather motivated her to persevere. Had Rowling seen those rejections as the final outcome, the world would never have known Harry Potter, and she would never have become one of the most influential writers of our time. In the business world, Elon Musk's story is another powerful testament to the idea that failure is not the result, but the process. Before SpaceX succeeded in launching reusable rockets, Musk experienced several painful failures. The first 3 test launches of SpaceX ended in disaster. For many, that could have been the end. But Musk did not let those failures deter his vision. He learned from each failure, adjusted his plans, and eventually succeeded, not only saving his company but also revolutionizing the space industry. Failure is a part of life, and we must accept it with courage and understanding. We cannot avoid failure, but we can control how we respond to it. When we view failure as a process of learning and growth, it becomes a powerful tool that helps us move forward rather than an obstacle. Those who succeed are often those who have failed the most, but they do not let failure define them. Instead, they use it as a launchpad, a valuable lesson to refine themselves and their strategies. They understand that each failure brings them one step closer to success because they have eliminated one wrong way and moved closer to finding the right one. We must also remember that success is not the final destination, but a journey. On this journey, failure serves as a critical milestone, marking our growth and progress. Without failure, we would never know how strong we truly are, how far our creativity can stretch, or where our true limits lie. Therefore, embrace failure as an essential part of life, an indispensable component of the journey to success. When we change our perspective on failure, when we see it not as the final result, but as part of the process, we become more resilient, more creative, and ultimately more successful. Failure is not an enemy, but a stern yet fair teacher, guiding us on the path to conquering heights we never imagined. Chapter 4. Embrace failure as a friend, because it will inevitably come. In life, failure is unavoidable. No matter how hard we try or how well we prepare, failure will find its way to us at some point. Instead of fearing and avoiding it, the key is to change our perspective and learn to face it as a natural part of life. Failure, when viewed from a different angle, can become a loyal companion that helps us grow and improve. Failure does not come with the intent to crush or defeat us. In reality, it arrives to challenge us, to test our patience and resilience. Those who fear failure are often those who have not yet accepted that it is inevitable. They see failure as a humiliation, a sign of weakness, but this mindset only adds pressure and makes them more likely to crumble when failure eventually occurs. When we accept that failure is inevitable, we no longer feel overwhelmed by the fear or pressure to succeed immediately. Instead, we can face failure with a calm mindset, viewing it as a valuable lesson that helps us improve. Failure, in a way, is a strict but necessary teacher that helps us understand more about ourselves and what we need to do to achieve our goals. This truth is evident in the stories of many successful individuals throughout history. They did not shy away from failure. Rather, they were willing to face it and learn from it. A prime example is Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents of the United States. Before becoming president, Lincoln faced numerous failures, from business failures to electoral defeats to the loss of loved ones. But he did not let these failures break him. Lincoln understood that each failure was an opportunity to learn and grow stronger. His perseverance helped him overcome immense challenges and lead the nation through a tumultuous civil war. Failure not only makes us more resilient, but also helps us discover hidden abilities we may not have known existed. When we accept failure and confront it, we begin to see aspects of ourselves that we had not recognized before. We find that we can be more persistent, more creative, and above all, stronger than we ever imagined. Failure does not weaken us. On the contrary, it helps us build character and maturity through each challenge. Another important aspect of accepting failure is that it develops our capacity for empathy and understanding. When we have gone through difficult times, we become more empathetic to others in similar situations. This not only makes us better leaders, but also helps us build deeper, more genuine relationships. We understand that everyone can fail, and how they overcome failure is what truly matters. Failure also gives us a clearer vision of our goals. When we stumble, we have the opportunity to reassess the path we have chosen and evaluate whether it is truly the right one. Sometimes, failure is a sign that we need to change direction and seek new paths to move forward. When we see failure in this light, it becomes not an enemy, but a loyal friend that constantly reminds us to adjust and improve ourselves. Accepting failure also helps us eliminate unnecessary pressure. When we no longer see failure as something to fear, we no longer feel weighed down by societal expectations or the pressures we impose on ourselves. Instead, we can live authentically, experiment, and explore without the fear of failure. This not only builds our confidence, but also opens up new doors for creativity and discovery. With the right attitude, failure is no longer something to be feared, but a part of life that we can embrace and learn from. Failure is a trustworthy companion, always ready to help us recognize our weaknesses and overcome them. It helps us grow with each stumble and prepares us better for the challenges ahead. Remember that failure is not something to be ashamed of or avoided. It is a natural and necessary part of the journey to success. Accepting failure, learning from it, and continuing to move forward is how we become stronger, wiser, and ultimately achieve the things we desire most. Failure is your friend because it will inevitably come, and when it does, welcome it with courage and determination. This is how truly successful people have acted, and it is how you too will conquer new heights in life. Chapter 5. No one succeeds without failing, hundreds of times. In this world, there is no path to success that is smooth, without bumps or challenges. The great success stories that we admire are often adorned with the shining details of victory, but few realize that behind those glories lie hundreds, if not thousands, of failures. Successful people are not those who have never failed, but those who have persistently faced and overcome failure time and time again. Failure is an essential part of the success process. We can see this clearly in the stories of many famous individuals throughout history. A classic example is Thomas Edison, who invented the electric light bulb after thousands of failed experiments. Edison did not view these failures as obstacles or barriers. He saw them as necessary steps toward achieving his ultimate goal. When asked about his failed attempts, Edison calmly responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This is the spirit of someone who never gives up, someone who understands that each failure is an opportunity to learn and get closer to success. This is not only true in science, but in every aspect of life. In art, literature, or business, those who achieve great things must endure countless setbacks before they can stand on the summit of success. World-famous literary works like Moby Dick by Herman Melville or The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald were initially undervalued and rejected by publishers. Entrepreneurs like Walt Disney, the founder of the Disney Empire, or Henry Ford, who revolutionized the automobile industry, faced many failures before achieving monumental success. They were underestimated, ridiculed, and even bankrupted, but they did not let those failures defeat them. What enabled these individuals to overcome hundreds of failures? It was their unwavering belief in their goals, relentless perseverance, and ability to turn each failure into a valuable lesson. They did not wait for success to come to them. They actively sought it out, despite the obstacles and challenges along the way. For them, failure was not an end, but a natural part of the process of discovery and refinement. They knew that no success comes without a price paid in sweat, tears, and many failures. Failure also helps us reassess ourselves and our strategies. Each setback is an opportunity to reflect on our previous decisions and actions to draw valuable lessons. It is through failure that we can identify what needs to change, which skills need improvement, and which strategies require adjustment. Failure is the ultimate test to determine whether we have the courage and determination to continue pursuing our goals. What is admirable about successful people is that they not only learn from their own failures, but also from the failures of others. They are always willing to listen, observe, and learn from the experiences of those who have gone before them. They do not fear experimentation. They do not fear failure, because they understand that each failure is a step closer to success. They know that every mistake, every failure, contains an opportunity to learn and improve. It is easy to lose our way when failure repeatedly knocks at our door. But the important thing is not to let the fear of failure control our lives. Failure is the most demanding yet fair teacher we can encounter. It never deceives, never sugarcoats, and always points out our weaknesses and limitations. If we learn to listen and learn from it, we will grow stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more successful. Success is not a stroke of luck, but the result of perseverance, learning from failure, and never giving up. No one has succeeded without enduring painful failures, but it is these setbacks that have forged their character, making them resilient and steadfast. Remember, each failure is a building block on the road to success. And when you face failure, embrace it as part of your journey, because no one has ever succeeded without failing hundreds of times. Chapter 6. Turning Failure into Motivation. For many, failure is a source of fear, a lingering anxiety that is difficult to shake off. However, if we view it from a different perspective, failure can be the spark that ignites our willpower, resilience, and perseverance. Instead of allowing failure to hold us back, we can transform it into a powerful motivator that propels us forward on our path to success. There is an undeniable truth that successful people are not those who have never failed, but those who have learned how to turn failure into motivation to keep striving. Failure is not the end, but an essential part of each person's journey. The difference lies in how we face it. Do we choose to surrender, or do we stand up and move forward? One of the critical factors in turning failure into motivation is the ability to change our perspective. Instead of viewing failure as an ending, see it as a lesson, an opportunity to gain valuable experience. When we shift our perspective on failure, from something to fear to something to learn from, we begin to see that failure is truly our best teacher. It reveals our weaknesses, the mistakes that need correction, and more importantly, it helps us realize that each stumble brings us one step closer to success. Consider the example of elite athletes who endure countless failures in training and competition. They do not let defeats extinguish their fighting spirit. Instead, they use those failures to refine their skills, build their character, and fuel their desire to win. They understand that every time they get back up after falling, they become stronger and closer to their goals. Steve Jobs, one of the world's greatest entrepreneurs, is a clear example of turning failure into motivation. When he was fired from Apple, the company he founded, many thought it was the end of his career. But for Jobs, this failure became the driving force behind his continued innovation and creativity. It led him to establish Next and eventually return to Apple, leading it to become one of the largest technology companies in the world. Jobs once said, "Being fired didn't make me retreat, it only made me more determined." Failure did not make him retreat. Instead, it ignited within him the fire of resilience and the thirst for conquest. Turning failure into motivation involves more than just changing our perspective. It also requires determination and patience. Every time we fail, we must learn to get back up, face new challenges, and continuously seek new ways to achieve our goals. This process is not easy, but it is this persistence that strengthens us and ultimately leads to great success. Another crucial factor is self-belief. When confronted with failure, many people easily lose confidence and become doubtful of their abilities. But successful individuals maintain a strong belief that they can overcome any challenge. They understand that failure is not a reflection of their worth, but a part of the learning and growth process. Belief in one's abilities is the greatest motivator that helps them overcome failures and continue striving. We must also learn to persevere, not giving up when faced with failure. When we understand that each failure brings us closer to success, we will not easily abandon our efforts. Look at the examples of perseverance like Edison, Walt Disney, or other scientists and inventors. They did not let failure dampen their passion and determination. Instead, they saw it as a natural part of the process of creativity and innovation. Finally, turning failure into motivation requires us to stay focused on our goals. When we have a clear objective and unwavering resolve, nothing can stop us from moving forward. Failure is merely a challenge, a temporary obstacle on the road to success. But with determination and a strong will, we will overcome all barriers and achieve what we desire. Failure is an inevitable part of life and every person's career. But if we know how to turn it into motivation, we will become stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more successful. Remember that each failure is an opportunity to learn, grow, and get closer to our goals. And only when we learn to use failure as a source of motivation will we truly understand the value of success. Chapter 7. Perseverance, courage to face challenges equals success. Success doesn't come easily, and anyone who believes they can achieve it without enduring hardship, challenges, or even failure is surely deceiving themselves. On this arduous journey, two factors are more decisive than any others: perseverance and the courage to face difficulties. When these two elements are combined, they create an unstoppable force that drives us closer to the grand goals we dream of. Perseverance is one of the core qualities that anyone striving for success must possess. It is the ever-burning flame within, one that doesn't extinguish no matter how strong the winds of failure blow. Those who persevere never give up, even when they stumble repeatedly. They understand that success is not a destination, but a long process that requires relentless determination and continuous effort. Consider those who have overcome the most challenging trials to achieve success. They are not lucky individuals. Rather, they are people who have devoted their entire lives to their goals, never allowing themselves to give up for even a moment. Michael Jordan, hailed as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was once cut from his high school basketball team because he wasn't tall enough or skilled enough. But instead of giving up on his dream, Jordan persisted, tirelessly practicing and using that failure as motivation to improve himself. It was through this perseverance that he conquered heights few could ever reach. However, perseverance alone is not enough. To truly achieve success, we must also have the courage to face challenges, difficulties, and especially the deep-seated fears within us. Facing these fears is one of the bravest acts a person can undertake. Fear is the greatest enemy of success. It imprisons us in a cage of safety, preventing us from going further, making us hesitate before big decisions, and causing us to shy away from new challenges. Successful people share the common trait of not fearing failure, not fearing to face enormous challenges. They understand that to achieve something great, one must be willing to step out of their comfort zone and confront difficulties that they may never have encountered before. These challenges may terrify us, but it is through facing them that we grow and develop. A clear example is the story of Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla. At the beginning of his ventures, Musk faced numerous challenges that seemed insurmountable. Both companies were on the brink of bankruptcy multiple times, and Musk's decisions were often deemed too bold, even crazy. But Musk did not allow fear and pressure to make him retreat. On the contrary, he dared to face enormous risks, and it was this courage that enabled him to turn the impossible into possible, making SpaceX the first private company to launch a spacecraft into orbit and transforming Tesla into one of the world's leading electric car manufacturers. Perseverance combined with courage not only helps us overcome difficulties, but also opens doors to new opportunities. When we continue to strive and dare to face challenges, we discover hidden potential within ourselves, things we may never have known existed. Success is not something distant, but is the reward for those who dare to face failure, who dare to stand up and keep going when everything around them seems to be falling apart. Life is a series of relentless challenges. Without perseverance, we will easily crumble in the face of adversity. Without courage, we will forever be trapped in the cage of safety, never daring to step out to conquer new heights. When these two elements are combined, we gain an unshakable strength, a steely will to face any difficulty, and ultimately achieve the success we have always desired. Perseverance and courage are not easy to come by. They require daily practice, testing oneself constantly, and never allowing oneself to fall. But once we have developed these two qualities, nothing can stop us on our path to success. Always remember, success is not a matter of luck, but the result of a long, arduous process filled with perseverance and the courage to face the toughest challenges. Chapter 8. Thank failure for the experience it brings. At first glance, failure can feel like a painful slap from life. It wounds our pride, makes us doubt ourselves, and question the path we're on. But when we take a moment to reflect, to move past the pain, we realize that every failure carries invaluable lessons, experiences that no success could ever provide. This is why, instead of harboring resentment, we should be grateful for failure, as it is the greatest teacher in our journey toward growth. In every aspect of life, experience is the most valuable asset one can accumulate. However, experience doesn't come from smooth sailing, from easy victories, or from success at first attempt. True experience often arises from our stumbles, from the times when life challenges us, forcing us to get back up, rethink, and adjust our course. With each failure, we learn something new, not only about the world around us, but also about ourselves. These experiences not only help us avoid repeating mistakes, but also equip us with the skills and insights needed to face greater challenges in the future. Look at the lives of successful individuals, those who have endured the bitterest failures. They didn't let those failures crush them. Instead, they used them as tools to learn and improve. Walt Disney, before creating the entertainment empire we know today, was fired from a newspaper for lacking creative ideas. Disney didn't let this failure diminish his passion. Instead, he used it to learn and develop new, groundbreaking ideas. Thanks to the experiences gained from this failure, he created timeless animated films and built one of the world's leading entertainment companies. In business, failures are often seen as investments in the future. Every time a business faces difficulties, it is an opportunity to reassess strategies, restructure the organization, and seek new approaches. Successful entrepreneurs understand that failure is not the end, but a stepping stone to something greater. They know that each failure brings valuable lessons, making them wiser and more cautious in their subsequent decisions. Failure also teaches us humility. When everything goes smoothly, it's easy to become complacent, to believe that we are infallible. But it is only when we stumble that we realize life is far more complex and unpredictable than we imagined. Failure reminds us that no one is perfect and no one is always right. It helps us stay grounded, reminding us of the importance of listening, learning, and maintaining a growth mindset. One of the greatest gifts that failure brings is the ability to adapt and change. In a constantly changing world, adaptability is a crucial survival trait. Failure forces us to rethink, to find new ways to solve problems, to change in order to fit new circumstances. Thanks to these experiences, we become more flexible, more creative, and more prepared to face any future challenge. Failure teaches us that there isn't just one path to success. There are many, and we must be ready to change direction when necessary. Failure also fosters patience and perseverance. When things don't go as planned, we learn to wait, to patiently embrace change, and not to abandon our dreams. Each failure is an opportunity to test our patience, to see if we have the persistence and determination to keep moving forward. Those who have faced many failures are often the ones with remarkable patience and perseverance, for they have learned that success doesn't come from luck, but from relentless effort. We should also thank failure for helping us build genuine and lasting relationships. When we face difficulties, when we stumble, that's when we realize who truly stands by our side, who is willing to help and support us through the toughest times. These relationships not only help us overcome immediate challenges, but also become the foundation for future success. Failure helps us appreciate the value of empathy, friendship, and teamwork, things we might never have fully recognized when everything was going well. Thank failure for teaching us to appreciate the small things, the simple joys in life. After going through the hardest times, we truly understand the value of every successful moment, no matter how small. We learn to cherish our efforts, the efforts of those around us, and the very essence of life itself. Failure helps us view life with a different perspective, one that is deeper, more genuine, and filled with gratitude. Failure is not just an inevitable part of life, it is also a great teacher, offering us experiences and valuable lessons that no book or school could ever provide. It helps us grow, become stronger, and better prepared for future challenges. Let's thank failure, because through it we become wiser, more cautious, and ultimately more successful in life. Chapter 9. When you fail, don't blame others. Blaming only makes it worse. At every step of life, failure is unavoidable. It can strike suddenly, like a storm that disrupts a beautiful sunny day, leaving us shaken and disoriented. However, what matters more than the failure itself is how we respond to it. One of the most tempting reactions when faced with failure is to blame others or the circumstances around us. Blaming may provide temporary relief, but in the long run, it only worsens the situation and keeps us stuck, unable to move forward. When confronted with failure, people often seek external causes to justify their shortcomings. This is not only a natural reflex to protect our ego, but also a way to avoid facing our own mistakes and deficiencies. Blaming others, the circumstances, or even luck might help us escape feelings of guilt and disappointment momentarily. But in the long term, it robs us of the precious opportunity to learn and grow. By blaming others, we deny ourselves the ability to self-reflect and improve. Blaming is a way of shirking responsibility, refusing to acknowledge that we might have been wrong or that we didn't do our best. And without accepting responsibility, we will never have the motivation to change or correct our mistakes. Success only comes to those who dare to take responsibility for their lives, who face their mistakes and learn from them. If we keep blaming, we will never learn from our failures, which means we are likely to repeat the same mistakes unconsciously. The world is full of people who fail because they cannot break free from the vicious cycle of blame. They blame colleagues, superiors, the economy, even fate, without ever asking themselves if they truly gave their best or what they could have done differently to improve the situation. This keeps them trapped in a dead-end situation, where they make no progress and never overcome their failures. In contrast, successful people are those who always take responsibility for their actions and never blame others. They understand that only by accepting that failure was caused by their own actions can they take control of their lives. When we accept responsibility, we start to view problems more objectively, allowing us to find effective solutions. They turn failure into an opportunity to learn, grow, and do better in the future. Think of the great leaders who have overcome seemingly insurmountable difficulties. They never blamed others or circumstances. Instead, they always took responsibility and acted to change the situation. A prime example is Winston Churchill, who led Britain during World War II. In the darkest moments of the war, when everything seemed to be against him, Churchill never blamed the enemy or the tough circumstances. Instead, he took responsibility and led the nation with determination and courage. It was this sense of responsibility that inspired an entire country to rise against oppression and ultimately triumph. Blaming is also a sign of a lack of self-confidence. When we don't believe in our abilities, we easily look for someone else to blame to avoid confronting our own shortcomings. But this only makes us weaker, more fearful of future challenges. Conversely, when we believe in ourselves, we won't hesitate to take responsibility because we know we can learn and improve from our mistakes. This confidence is the key to turning failure into motivation, to keep striving, and eventually to succeed. Blaming not only harms ourselves, but also damages the relationships around us. When we constantly blame others, we undermine trust and respect in our relationships. Others may feel hurt, unfairly burdened with responsibility, leading to conflict and distance. On the other hand, if we take responsibility, we build trust and respect from others, creating more meaningful and enduring relationships. Failure is not something to be feared. What is more frightening is how we react to it. If we know how to face failure, take responsibility, and learn from it, we will become stronger, wiser, and ultimately more successful. Don't let the habit of blaming hold you back on your path to success. Be courageous in accepting responsibility, turn failure into a valuable lesson, and continue to move forward with confidence and determination. Only by doing so can we truly take control of our lives and achieve the things we desire. Chapter 10. Failure is the main spice in life's feast. Life, with all its challenges and twists, is like a grand feast. Each dish has its own unique flavor, and it's the combination of different spices that creates the distinctiveness of each one. If success is the delicious dish we all crave, then failure is the main spice that enhances the sweetness of success. Without failure, life would be bland, lacking the richness and depth that only those who have experienced it can truly appreciate. Failure brings with it a profound and unforgettable experience, much like a bit of spice in a dish that makes us slow down and savor each bite more mindfully, reflecting on the journey we've undertaken. When we know only success without having tasted failure, we can easily become complacent, undervaluing the achievements we've made. But when we experience failure, we truly understand the value of even the smallest successes. It's a sweetness that can only be deeply appreciated after having tasted bitterness. Imagine life as a grand banquet, filled with all the ups and downs, from the joy of victory to the sorrow of failure. Without the bitter spice of failure, we wouldn't be able to recognize the sweetness of success. Failure makes every step forward in life more valuable, every victory more resounding. It is the spice that makes life richer, more colorful, and above all, it teaches us to appreciate what we have achieved. Those who have experienced failure, who have touched the bitter depths of defeat, are the ones who understand the true value of success. They know that success isn't something that comes easily. It's the result of perseverance, of lessons learned from countless stumbles. It is these failures that forge resilience, endurance, and determination within each person. They not only know how to savor success, but also how to appreciate the arduous journey that leads to it. In the process of cooking a delicious meal, we don't always know the exact amount of spice needed to achieve the perfect flavor. Sometimes we add too much salt, too little sugar, or not enough seasoning. These culinary failures aren't the end, but opportunities to learn, adjust, and eventually create a masterpiece. Similarly, failures in life are opportunities to reflect, learn from, and prepare better for the next challenge. Each adjustment, each change in approach brings us closer to perfection, closer to the success we desire. Failure is like a spicy ingredient that at first might make us hesitant, make us shy away from trying it. But once we become accustomed to it, once we learn to savor it, we realize that this spice is what makes the dish more exciting and memorable. Those who dare to face failure, who dare to taste its bitter spice, are the ones who truly understand its value. They know that without failure, life would be a monotonous string of days, lacking the richness and depth that make it worthwhile. Failure not only adds flavor to life, but also helps us grow and mature. When we experience failure, we are forced to rethink, to reassess what we've done and what needs to change. This process of reflection helps us learn, makes us wiser, smarter, and ultimately stronger. Failure doesn't weaken us. On the contrary, it's a process that hones us into a better version of ourselves. Those who know how to leverage failure for growth are the ones who truly understand life. They don't shy away from difficulties, don't fear challenges, and don't back down in the face of failure. They understand that each failure adds more spice to life, making every victory, every success, all the sweeter. It's thanks to these failures that they learn to appreciate what they have, to savor each moment of life with all its highs and lows. Success is not the final destination, but part of a long, flavorful journey. Along this path, failure is an indispensable element, the main spice that makes every step more memorable and meaningful. Embrace failure as a natural part of life, as a special ingredient in the banquet of life. And once we understand the value of failure, we will no longer fear it, no longer avoid it, but instead, we will know how to savor and appreciate every moment, every experience that life brings our way. Chapter 11. Prepare because tomorrow's failure may come. We often live with the hope of better things, always expecting that tomorrow will bring success and happiness. However, life doesn't always go according to plan, and the reality is that failure can strike at any moment, sometimes when we least expect it. Preparing for failure is not about being pessimistic or lacking faith. It's about being wise and realistic. It's the understanding that on the journey toward our goals, we will inevitably face obstacles, and how we prepare for these challenges will determine how we overcome them. Preparing for failure doesn't mean expecting it to happen, but rather building a mindset ready to face any challenge. When we are prepared for failure, we are no longer afraid of the surprises life may bring. Instead, we approach everything with calmness, with the spirit of a warrior fully equipped for battle. We know that whatever happens, we are ready to face it, to handle it, and to keep moving forward on our path. One of the best ways to prepare for failure is to maintain a flexible mindset and openness to all situations. Rigidity and inflexibility are the very reasons many people are crushed when faced with difficulties. When we believe there is only one path to success, we can easily fall into panic when that path is blocked. But if we can view things from multiple perspectives, if we are ready to change direction when necessary, failure will never cause us to lose our way. Successful people are not those who have never failed, but those who have thoroughly prepared for the possibility of failure, who have anticipated all possible scenarios. They always have contingency plans and are always ready to adjust their strategies when needed. It is this careful preparation that prevents them from being caught off guard when difficulties arise. Instead, they can handle the situation quickly and effectively. They understand that failure is not the end, but a part of the journey. And it is this preparation for failure that allows them to keep moving forward, no matter how many challenges they encounter. When we prepare for failure, we are also preparing for our own growth. Failure is not just a test of ability, it is also a psychological challenge. When we are ready to face failure, we are no longer easily defeated by minor setbacks. Instead, we know how to get back up, learn from our mistakes, and keep striving. This preparation helps us build a strong mindset, a resilient heart, not easily shaken by the difficulties of life. Consider the top athletes in the world. Before each match, they not only train their skills, but also prepare mentally for the worst-case scenarios. They don't just focus on winning, they anticipate the strategies their opponents might use. It is this preparation that allows them to maintain composure, not panic when faced with unexpected situations. They know that no matter the outcome, they are ready to face it and continue their journey. Life is much like a grand competition, and we need to prepare as best as we can for all possible situations. Preparation not only helps us avoid significant losses, but also allows us to seize every opportunity that life presents. When we are prepared, we are not surprised by challenges. Instead, we can see in them opportunities to grow, to learn, and to mature. Never think that preparing for failure is a sign of a lack of confidence or fear. On the contrary, it is a sign of self-assurance and a deep understanding of life. Those who prepare for failure are those who understand that life is full of unpredictable elements, and it is thorough preparation that helps them overcome any challenge life throws at them. They do not fear failure because they are prepared for it, and when failure comes, they know how to turn it into a stepping stone to new successes. Preparation also helps us maintain patience and calm during the most challenging times. When we have mentally prepared for the worst, we are not easily swept into a spiral of panic or despair. Instead, we can remain clear-headed, make the right decisions, and continue moving forward with confidence in ourselves. This preparation not only helps us overcome failure, but also makes us stronger and more resilient in life. Life is full of surprises, and no one can guarantee that tomorrow will always be smooth and error-free. But what we can do is prepare for every scenario, ready to embrace and face any challenge. When we are thoroughly prepared, we will no longer fear failure. Instead, we will know how to turn it into motivation, into an opportunity to grow and move forward on the path to success. Chapter 12. After the storm, won't there be a bright day? Life is a continuous series of fluctuations, much like unexpected storms that sweep across a beautiful sunny day. These storms can be the difficulties and failures that make us feel unsteady and lost. But no matter how fierce the storm, the sky will eventually clear and the radiant sun will shine once more. The important thing is not to avoid the storm, but to know that after every tempest, there will always be a bright day, a new moment to start again. Each time we face difficulties, it may feel as though everything is falling apart, as if there is no way out. But it is precisely in the darkest moments that hope truly matters. Light never shines as brightly as when it pierces through the darkness. In the same way, the bright days of life become even more radiant after we've weathered the storms. Challenges and failures are not the end. They are the beginning of a new chapter, an opportunity for change and growth. When standing in the middle of a storm, it is easy to be overwhelmed by fear, to believe that the darkness will last forever. But look to nature and remember that no storm lasts indefinitely. The storm will pass, and we will once again welcome the new light, brighter and more beautiful. The strength of a person does not lie in the ability to avoid storms, but in the capacity to stand firm in the midst of them, trusting that tomorrow will bring sunshine. Those who have faced many challenges in life understand that failure is just a part of the journey, and that after every failure, there is always a chance to start anew, to do better. Successful people are not those who have never encountered difficulties, but those who always hold on to their faith, knowing that after each fall, they can rise again and keep moving forward. They do not let the fear of failure stop them, because they understand that after the storm comes a new day, a new opportunity to rise. Just as the sun emerges after the rain, success will come after we persistently face failure. Every challenge we overcome, every storm we withstand, is not just a victory, but a step forward in our journey of self-improvement. We become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the challenges ahead. The scars and marks left by the storm are not signs of weakness, but testaments to our courage and resilience. Life is not always easy, and there will be times when we feel as if we are being overwhelmed by the storm of difficulties and failures. But remember that even in the darkest moments, hope is always present. Hope is the guiding light, the belief in tomorrow, the trust that after every storm, the light will shine again. It is this hope that motivates us to keep striving, to keep believing, and to keep moving forward, no matter how tough the road may be. Those who know how to face difficulties, who can maintain their faith during the storm, will always find the light at the end of the tunnel. They are not defeated by failure. Instead, they use it as a launch pad to rise higher, to go further. They understand that every storm is a test, an opportunity to prove their resilience and capabilities. And after each victory over the storm, they find themselves more mature, stronger, and ready to embrace better things. The storm is not just a challenge, it is also a test of how strong we are, a way for us to discover hidden potentials that we may never have known existed. After each storm, we will see life from a new perspective, one that is deeper and more understanding. We will learn to appreciate the peaceful moments, the small joys in life, because we understand that nothing lasts forever and that every moment is precious and worthy of our gratitude. In life, no one can avoid the storms. But what matters is how we face them, how we overcome and learn from them. Always remember that after every storm, the sky will clear and the sun will shine again. Tomorrow will always be a new opportunity, a fresh start to continue our journey. And it is through the storms that we come to truly appreciate the bright days, the radiant moments in our lives. So, when facing difficulties, always hold on to faith and hope. Know that every storm we weather will only make us stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the challenges ahead. After each tempest, we will find ourselves more mature, and ultimately, we will find the light we have always sought. Life is a long journey, and each storm is just a small chapter in that grand story. Always trust that after every storm, a beautiful day will be waiting for us. Chapter 13. Train yourself to be strong enough to face it. On the journey of life, challenges and difficulties are inevitable. To confront these obstacles, the most important thing is to be strong and resilient enough not to be overwhelmed by life's storms. Inner strength doesn't come naturally. It is forged through continuous training, through every encounter with challenges, through every fall and rise. It is the daily effort to train ourselves that better prepares us for whatever lies ahead. Life is not always smooth, and the challenges we face often come without warning. When the storms arrive, true strength does not lie in avoiding them or hoping for calm to return, but in facing them with all the courage and determination we can muster. To do this, we need to train both our bodies and minds so that whenever life tests us, we can stand firm, unshaken by temporary hardships. Training oneself begins with the smallest of tasks. It might be maintaining discipline, sticking to long-term goals, or simply learning to resist temptations and bad habits. These seemingly small efforts are the foundation upon which a strong person with an unyielding will is built. As we train ourselves day by day, hour by hour, we gradually accumulate the strength needed to confront the larger, more complex challenges that life will inevitably throw our way. A strong mind is the most powerful weapon when facing difficulties. Training the mind is not only about learning to stay calm in all situations, but also about cultivating steadfastness and the ability to face fear. Those with strong minds are not easily flustered when difficulties arise. They do not crumble easily under the weight of failure. They know how to turn negative situations into opportunities for learning and growth. They are not haunted by fear because they have trained themselves to hold a firm belief that no matter how great the challenge, they have the strength to overcome it. Training oneself also involves learning to accept and adapt. Things don't always go as planned, and we cannot always control our circumstances. But what we can control is ourselves, how we react to unexpected situations. Training the ability to adapt and the readiness to adjust when necessary helps us avoid being swept into a whirlpool of confusion or despair when faced with difficulties. Instead, we learn to be flexible, to find new solutions, new paths to continue moving forward. The greatest challenge each person faces is not the external difficulties, but the battle within themselves. Overcoming oneself, breaking through self-imposed limits, is the first step toward becoming strong. Every time we feel like giving up, when we hesitate before a challenge, it is important to remember that these difficult moments are opportunities to train ourselves, to become stronger. Only by overcoming these moments do we truly take control of our lives. Look at those who have overcome seemingly insurmountable difficulties. They do not possess magic, nor do they have superhuman strength. What they have is persistence, a determination never to give up, and relentless training. They were not born strong. It was life, the countless falls and subsequent rises that forged them into who they are. When you see a successful person, remember that behind the glory is a long process of training, overcoming countless challenges to become steadfast and resilient. Training yourself to be strong enough to face difficulties is not easy, but it is essential. Only when we are strong can we face whatever life throws at us without being defeated. Treat each challenge, each failure as a practice, an opportunity to train yourself. With every challenge overcome, you become stronger, moving closer to your goals. Life will never be without challenges, but it also offers countless opportunities to become stronger and more resilient. Train yourself every day so that when the biggest storms hit, you can stand firm, overcome them, and continue on the path you have chosen. It is this training that will create a person who is not easily defeated, a determined spirit, and an unbreakable will, ready to face whatever life brings. Chapter 14. I scorn failure because it cannot defeat me. Failure is often seen as an enemy, something frightening that everyone wants to avoid. But there's a truth that few dare to face. Failure only has the power to defeat us if we allow it to. When we begin to scorn failure, viewing it as just another challenge in life, we enter a state of invincibility, where failure becomes merely a small step on the path to conquering greater heights. Failure, if not magnified by our own fear, is simply an experience, a moment in the flow of life. It has no power to dictate our lives unless we grant it that power. Failure only becomes frightening when we view it through the lens of weakness and insecurity. But when we are strong enough to see failure as a natural part of the journey, it loses its ability to instill fear, and we move past it as naturally as we would any minor obstacle. The truly successful, those we admire, have all faced failure, but they don't let failure define them. They scorn failure because they understand that it is just a small piece of the larger picture of life. For them, failure is not an end result, but merely one of the necessary steps to move forward. They don't let failure cloud their vision or stifle their will. Instead, they move through failure with the firm belief that they will do better, that they will go further the next time. When we scorn failure, we are no longer bound by it. It no longer controls our emotions or actions. We enter a state of freedom where we can experiment and create without fear. This scorn is not a negative emotion, but an affirmation that we are bigger, stronger, and more important than any failure that may come our way. By placing failure below ourselves, we reclaim control over our lives and regain the ability to determine our own outcomes. Those who are defeated by failure are often those who have given it too much power. They allow one stumble to become the entire story of their lives, trapping themselves in a cycle of regret and disappointment. But those who triumph never allow this to happen. They scorn failure because they know life is a continuous series of opportunities. A single failure is just a comma, not a period. It means little in the grand scheme of a whole life. Scorning failure is also an expression of self-respect and belief in oneself. When we believe that we are strong enough to overcome any difficulty, we no longer need to fear failure. We know that with every failure, we will learn, grow, and return stronger. It is this belief that allows us to scorn failure, to no longer feel threatened by it. Failure becomes a harmless companion, a stern teacher who never has the power to bring us down. Our lives are not defined by our failures, but by how we respond to them. When we choose to scorn failure, we choose a life of persistence, determination, and confidence. Failure may come, but it cannot stay long. It is just an uninvited guest, quickly pushed out by our strong and unyielding spirit. True strength lies in knowing that we can rise again, knowing that nothing can stop our progress. Think of the people we admire the most. How many times have they failed? How many times have they faced rejection, hardship, and crushing defeat? But what makes them great is not their avoidance of failure, but how they rise after each fall. They don't just overcome failure, they use it as a foundation to build extraordinary success. They scorn failure because they know it cannot hold them back. It cannot prevent them from reaching their grand goals. Choose to scorn failure because by doing so, you no longer let it dictate your destiny. You turn failure from an enemy into a tool, from a fear into a manageable part of life. When you no longer fear failure, you will find freedom, creativity, and the ability to overcome any obstacle on your path to greatness. Failure cannot defeat you unless you allow it to. And when you decide that you will never allow that to happen, you become the master of your fate, someone who will never be stopped by failure on the journey to success.